Of course you'll get a say, but you'll have to wait until you're me until you get it. Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host, McEdam, and today we've got a special one for you. That's right, the team up we've all been waiting for. The 10th Doctor interacts with the 4th Doctor in Out of Time, written by Matt Fitton. A Doctor Who fan. You know, of course I am. Tom Baker, the biggest incarnation of the classic series. David Tennant, the biggest incarnation of the revived series. Teaming up to fight Daleks. I should just end the video there. That's all you need to know. This video is going to contain a lot of spoilers. Mainly because, you know, this is a story where there is a lot going on, there is a lot of twists and turns, but, you know, it's nothing too big, nothing too spectacular in the sense that if you were learned about these spoilers, it will completely ruin your experiences of the adventure. No. But there are some moments in here I'm going to talk about which just, but yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to go with this because all I can picture in my head is just going, this was awesome, this was awesome, this was awesome, this was awesome. And if you go on the internet and you look up the general opinion about this is a really popular story. A lot of people consider it their favourite Big Finish audio drama, and that a lot of people also consider it the best story to recommend to newcomers if you want to get into the audio dramas of the revived series. If you're not that interested in classic series, or maybe you are and you want to see, you know, if you're interested in both eras like moi, then, you know, this is the story for you. It was also the biggest release that Big Finish has released since Agreus, and I believe it's the most popular story they've ever done. I remember this broke the internet when that trailer came out, and for some reason they designed the trailer around the Weetabix games. I don't know why, but who can say? I'm trying to think. The Cliff Eccleston one also broke the internet, and that Dalek universe, which we will not be tackling. But yeah, now before I go into this story, usually I would show you the DVD cover. This is the official Big Finish cover. I've turned over the cover. It's supposed to look like that with the 2018 logo over there. Looks very nice. And then you've got, of course, it turned around with the 2007 logo, the one with the golden one, as well as font from the 2005 series, so it like matches up with the merchandises at the time of the 10th Doctor era. However, I haven't had time to print out the DVD cover for it, which is a bit of a shame, and I really wish that I was able to. So yeah, that is kind of a bummer, but you know, it's the Doctor. You know, I had to pick this up. As soon as I heard it, this actually is one of the few videos that is actually a recommendation. Somebody that I know who knew I was a big Doctor Who fan actually said, there's this audio drama for you that's been announced and I want you to tackle it. Is it okay if, you know, you talk about it and do a vlog series on it? So to you, who I will not name, this is for you. So yeah, two of the biggest incarnations of the Doctor. Now, in terms of canon, this story is very bizarre because it takes place in between the gap between the waters of Mars and the end of time. This narrative gap where the Doctor is thinking about his own mortality, and not only that, he has basically gone in this place where in his mindset he kind of regretting certain actions from the events of Waters of Mars, as we experienced in the Time War Victorious. This isn't officially part of the Time for War Victorious. However, that kind of mindset does play into this. But what makes it really strange is that you go from Time Lord Victorious, where he has a multi-adventure Doctor Who story with Daleks. You go on to this story, which has the Fourth Doctor, which is a multi-adventure Doctor with the Daleks. You then get the Fifth Doctor in the second out of time, which we will not be tackling because when I make this video, that hasn't actually been released yet. That shows you how early on I make these videos. But that one has the Doctor meet up with the Fifth Doctor again after Time Crash, and they meet the Daleks. Then you have the 10th Doctor with Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor in Out of Time 3, Wink, with the Weeping Angels, another recurring monster. And then you have, in terms of the 10th Doctor's canon, you have him interacting with the 11th Doctor and the War Doctor in Day of the Doctor, a multi-Doctor event that features Daleks. And also, if you go by comic books, in Defenders of the Daleks, we have a crossover where, for a scene where he has interacts with the 13th Doctor, as well as having a comic book series, I can't remember what it's called, Absent something, where the 10th Doctor gets pulled into an alternate timeline for the Sea Devils that also features, would you know it, the 13th Doctor. So, in the Doctor's timeline, it's just a bunch of multi-Doctor stories back to back to back to back to back to back. That's kind of strange, if you ask me. I don't think any other Doctor has had this treatment. Like, it's so clearly that they're all supposed to be back together as well. They all deal with a very similar subject matter, and this also just leads into a great precursor to the end of time and his point of view from that story. But anyway, let's get into the actual story in hand, because I've talked way too much about the setup of this adventure. The story is set in the Cathedral of Contemplation. I can't actually say the word. I can't pronounce it. I'm just going to call it the Cathedral. This place that actually exists in, as it's described, multiple different time zones. So that means people can interact in this area with themselves without breaking the timeline, without breaking the narrative flow of nature, because characters all constantly are swirling in their own timelines in this era. As well as the gateway is only opened to a vortex that only appears in certain periods of time. The 10th Doctor was near a portal when he was just after the events of Time Lord Victorious, which isn't actually stated here. Like, they don't actually state Time Lord Victorious, but he is in that mindset throughout the story where he is contemplating. Hey, I just said it. The Cathedral of Contemplation in this version. So the 10th Doctor comes here to basically rethink his life. He's distorted after the events of Waters of Mars, and basically going too far. In our headcanon, it will be the Time Lord Victorious event, but this really just implies the Waters of Mars. So the Doctors come here to this massive cathedral full of libraries of books and destinations for possible adventures. Doctor's just trying to rethink his life essentially, and just thinking about how all's day and done. And the Fourth Doctor, who has just from his point of view, from his canonical point of view, has just left Gallifrey from the events of the Deadly Assassin. And so he's also in this place of contemplation where he has run away as president of Gallifrey. He's basically taken this huge responsibility and also fought in his deadliest enemy, the Master. And so he's come to this place also as well to contemplate. I love the setup. The first a few minutes of the story before the credits actually roll. This story actually has a pre-credit sequence, which is unusual for Big Finish, where the 10th Doctor is talking to the abbot of the cathedral, this woman whose species is what creates the cathedral, this multi-dimensional event which allows people to cross their own timelines. And she basically is like, okay, Doctor, we let you think about your life and thing, but we're going to put you in this room, I'm going to lock the door. And the 10th Doctor's just like, what the hell is going on? I'm not a prisoner, am I? So he uses his sonic screwdriver, because the abbot didn't know about the sonic screwdriver, and he starts going around different rooms, and he starts knocking on this one room, and he walks into the 4th Doctor. That is the most 10th Doctor introducing himself to another Doctor I have ever heard. That is just so... The fact that like the 10th Doctor just idly walks on by reminds me of scenes like The Girl in the Fireplace, where everyone's like, there's all this like shenanigans and something like terrible could happen with his interaction, but he just like stumbles in, all sheepish like. It's very reminiscent of the era that the 10th Doctor comes from. Now, before I continue, a lot of people ask me about these vlog series that is this story submersive? Can you listen to this story and picture David Tennant on the screen? Can you picture Tom Baker on the screen? These two actors probably have given their best performances in audio I have heard, and not only that, they feel like their TV counterparts. They feel like literally David Tennant and Tom Baker, despite them being like 30 or 40 years between each other. They feel like they've both just stepped into the roles so comfortably. In fact, on the documentary in interviews on the CD, the interaction with Tom Baker, where they basically explain that when they wrote the script, originally the 4th Doctor was a bit more aggressive to the 10th Doctor, but Tom Baker decided to reel that in. It's like he thought that some scenes were a bit harsh. The fact that Tom Baker cares about this role so much that he would go up to people and be like, right, I don't think like my Doctor would say this, maybe change it to be much more lighthearted. The fact he's so involved with the character, that is just beautiful. And that heart, that interaction really does show. Now, the 10th Doctor kind of understands straight away why he was kept in the dark. But he doesn't tell the 4th Doctor who he is. Going by the name of John Tyler, a reference, of course, to Rose Tyler. Personally, I would have liked it if he said John Noble. How cool would have that been? And so he basically becomes the 4th Doctor's companion. Like, through the first half of the story, they have a lot of interactions. There's a few scenes where they separate and they talk to different characters and they learn information at roughly the same time in that parallel storytelling. But for most of the first half of the story, the 10th Doctor looks up at the 4th Doctor in amusement and appreciation. Like, there's a scene in which later on, these soldier characters that have come in and they don't know what to do, and so the 4th Doctor takes immediately in charge, and the 10th Doctor's just like smiling to himself. It's just, oh, just look at him go. It's so adorable to think that he's in charge, whilst another character's like, he isn't in charge. And the 10th Doctor's just like, well, I wouldn't like to interrupt his thunder. And so we get a lot of great interactions with the Doctors, but before we get to the revelation, when the 4th Doctor realizes who the 10th Doctor is and the story of it develops further, each character gets interrupted by these soldier characters. There's this girl that's in the cathedral, this girl who's actually hiding from something horrible. And these human soldiers, arrive at the cathedral and basically take possession of it, with the commander actually looking for his daughter, which turns out to be the girl. I can't remember their names. I do apologise, but they're all great acting across the board and all interesting characters. As the father, he's basically this general who hates like cowardice and he wants people to like fight, and who doesn't is technically a traitor to humankind, and that his daughter being on the run, basically she's a coward from the war, and he doesn't like her for it, and he plans to try and bring her back and get her to fight in the war. And each of the doctors try and find out who they're fighting against, whilst the Daleks, the main threat, arrive, turning out to be what the humans are fighting. It turns out this story is actually set during the second Dalek War with the Pacific type of war, which was actually introduced in Frontier in Space. I think it's Frontier in Space, the one with the Draconians. Basically, at this time, the Daleks are in a war with the Draconians and the humans, and the Daleks have interacted. This also brings into point the type of Daleks that we're talking with. For you see, on the cover, we have the drone Daleks, as we call them, or just like the regular Daleks in the story, are the classic 1970s Black Daleks, whilst their leader, the Dalek Supreme, also Supreme Dalek, they kind of change it up between the story, is actually the Dalek from Stolen Earth and Journey's End. So there is this that continuity there. However, despite they making a huge fuss that there was two types of Daleks in the story, pre and post Time War, the story does nothing to take advantage of that, and you can listen to the story and imagine whatever Dalek designs you want. It honestly doesn't make a difference. Because Nicholas Briggs, as though you can hear him trying his best, and the sound effects do match up with the 70s Daleks, the gunfiring. The Nicholas Briggs, it's Nicholas Briggs who voices the revived series Daleks, so you constantly just have Nicholas Briggs' Dalek in mind. So I don't know about you, but personally I thought throughout the story of the 2005 Bronze Daleks designs throughout the story. But that's just me. And so they come to the cathedral and basically take over, and the abbess seems to be a very important character. And you listen to the story and you're like, right, she is going to play a heavy role. She is going to help the doctors interact with one another and try and defeat the bad guys, and she feels like a character which will be a very prominent character. Spoiler warning, she gets executed in the first interaction she gets with the Daleks. The Dalek, there's a bit where like the abbess is just like, we give you no harm, you can come here and you know, you thing, but you know, keep the peace and stuff. And the Supreme is just like, we don't need you. What? Exterminate. And just flat out kill her, showing the ruthlessness of the Daleks. This is such a great way to set up a story, and it puts the stakes up really high, but they kill straight off the bat a very high character. I mean, not in the overall plot, but at this point in the narrative, she is one of the biggest characters, with the exception of the Doctors. So she becomes this MacGuffin, shall we say, as her being connected to the cathedral and her dying means that the cathedral is now slowly destroying itself. So now there's a race against time to get out of the cathedral and stop the Daleks before the Daleks find a way to harness the power. They believe that the Doctor, who they don't realise the 10th Doctor's involved, only realising that the 4th Doctor is involved, they try capturing the 4th Doctor, whilst the 4th Doctor slowly realises about who the 10th Doctor is in some really great scenes. I love the bit where David Tennant's just smiling to himself and he, after having a conversation with sonic screwdrivers, and then there's a bit where it's like, I think he knows, and I think he thinks he knows. So that's really a lot of fun. And then slowly it's realised, yeah, the Fourth Doctor knows about how the 10th Doctor is his future self. Now, if this story was placed any different points in each Doctor's timeline, this story could be very different. Because the fact that these stories take place after in a specific time of each Doctor, the Fourth Doctor just after leaving Gallifrey in The Deadly Assassin, and the 10th Doctor after having a massive moral complex in The Waters of Mars and the Time Lords Victorious event, they are in a specific mindset. And what's really great about this story is that plays so much into their characterization. Not really much in terms of the plot, but we get a lot of scenes with them detailing their emotional states and their ideas, and really show what each Doctor means to each other at this point in their timeline. This is brilliant writing. We see basically the Fourth Doctor, he's become a little bit more reckless from the 10th Doctor's point of view. He would jump straight into danger. He actually is a little bit more smarter and is the one that comes up with all the plans. He seems to be in a massive control in certain regards. And also as well, as he reminds the 10th Doctor, looking at him reminds him of his own mortality, that for him to exist, the Fourth Doctor must be long gone. And that is kind of comforting for the Fourth Doctor, knowing that when his time ends, his self, his fourth incarnation, his fourth body will perish, but he will still continue on and lead a great legacy in terms of the Fourth Doctor as a particular character disconnected to the core Doctors. And the 10th Doctor, he's very cautious, he's very aware, but he also has this kind of massive ego in some regards, as he tells the Fourth Doctor, it's like, you can't put yourself in any danger, you've got to stay behind, because if something happens to you, then something happens to me. And so I go out, and you just do the most bare minimum, and you do the safest thing. And the Fourth Doctor kind of points out, just we've never done that, we've never played it safe before. And they do a rock, paper, scissors, and the 10th Doctor goes off and tries to talk him down and say, even though the Fourth Doctor won and is the one that goes up against the Daleks, it's the 10th Doctor that's no, you've got to be smart, you've got to go out, let me deal with the Daleks. And the Fourth Doctor's just don't say I've developed a hero complex. It doesn't matter who saves the day. What matters is that the day is saved. That is gorgeous. That is brilliant writing. And the fact that it comes from these particular eras of each incarnation is so poignant, and it's so well developed. And so the Fourth Doctor goes with the soldier character to try and sneak up and come up with this plan to distract the Daleks to get him out of the cathedral, only for the soldier, the father character, to, spoiler warning, turn out to be a Dalek sleeper agent. He is, or at least he's like a clone, very similar to the the Fifth Doctor story. What's the one with the Revelations? The Revelations of the Daleks. That story where they basically make these duplicates and they've killed the original version. And so the Fourth Doctor is held captive. He learns about the Abbess's death and is like, you've basically doomed us all. The Daleks try and use the Fourth Doctor as a occupant to try and travel into, use the cathedral to basically teleport anywhere they want to, and they want to use the cathedral to open a portal to Earth and destroy Earth and become the new rulers of Earth like they were in Invasion of Daleks. The fact that Daleks actually mention that they had ruled Earth once, canon, canon is intact. And it leads into one of my favourite scenes, which actually is kind of like a repeat of an earlier scene, and with the comparison that I have made, should make a lot of sense, where the Fourth Doctor's captured, he's prison, and he's just like, ha! They basically learn that the 10th Doctor is now involved, the Daleks do, that there are 2 Doctors, and the Fourth Doctor's like, ha! You think you captured me, but now you learn there's 2 of me, and you don't think I'll be dull enough to let you capture me twice. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door, and the Doctor just walks in. That is very 10th Doctor. Matt Fitton really gets these characters. They are not written in the core Doctor. The Fourth Doctor's written in the Fourth Doctor style. However, that could be because the Fourth Doctor himself, Tom Baker, was actually involved with the story and altered the script, as well as the 10th Doctor is the 10th Doctor. Maybe because David Tennant is in the role and he's doing such a fantastic job playing against his Doctor, his incarnation, the one that he grew up with. In fact, in the interview segments, there's a bit where he explained that he grew up with the Fourth Doctor. It's his Doctor that he started watching it during Tom Baker's first season, watching it along, and that he actually got Tom Baker to sign something for him, and he had a Tom Baker doll whilst he went to Tom Baker as a kid. So this must have been David Tennant's dream story. You can just imagine David Tennant just really enjoying it. And so the Doctors basically agreed together that they are going to work with the Daleks to try and to make this cathedral, to try and get the cathedral to alterate time and make portals to try and destroy and conquer Earth. The Daleks having this massive weapon which can destroy Earth. And so the Doctors agree if only they get a test run. They test run it, they do, it's successful, the Daleks open a wormhole, and they decide to finally enter the atmosphere of Earth and fight the human on the Earth and conquer Earth. However, when the Daleks open the portal, most of them are evaporated instantly. It turns out that the Doctor did put a portal around Earth, however at the wrong time. The portal opened in the exact time the sun expanded, destroying Earth, meaning that the segment of this story is set chronologically the same time as the 9th Doctor story, The End of the World. So that ties in again with the 9th Doctor's and 10th Doctor's interactions, like in the Time Lord Victorious. And the Doctor also admits that the device could actually go and destroy Skaro at the moment, and the Fourth Doctor actually tries to calm him down and is like, what are you doing? Don't do this. And this is not the Doctor, kind of playing again into that Time Lord Victorious mindset. And this piece of dialogue, this is the biggest spoiler. This is one of the biggest spoilers in there. This is something which I highly recommend you listen to before you listen to the rest of this, okay? The 10th Doctor brings up the do we have a choice from Genesis of the Daleks. And not only that, he says like, oh, I've experienced what the Daleks will do, what the Daleks have done. And if I've learned anything, is that yes, I do have the right. That means so much because obviously that scene is a reference to the Time War in which Gallifrey and Skaro went to war and Gallifrey was destroyed and wiped out the Time Lords and Daleks. That is what that is referencing to efficiently. And clearly I think the right is intended Matt Fitton. However, from a headcanon point of view, because remember, this takes place after Time Lord Victorious, where the 10th Doctor, the 9th Doctor, and the 8th Doctor fought the Daleks, this could be a reference to that, retroactively speaking. That is really cool. So, this story kind of can tie into Time Lord Victorious, if you want it to. I personally like to think it is, though not efficiently, of course, but I do like to think that the 10th Doctor is in that mindset. He knows it's wrong after the events of All Flesh is Grass. But, yeah, the multi-Doctor story, and the Doctor is having this debate. It fails. The Fourth Doctor kind of gets in his way, and the Tenth Doctor kind of realises he's kind of gone a little bit too far, and so Skaro kind of survives, and there's only now the Dalek Supreme, which, thanks to the daughter character getting the gun of her father after she found him dead, shoots the Dalek, and everybody escapes, evacuates, and we get a scene where the two Doctors are on the beach, the final moments, the final meeting where they talk about their points of view, and the 10th Doctor is just like, I'm going somewhere and I cannot die. I don't want to go, I don't want to leave. He doesn't say those words, but that's kind of the impression. And the 4th Doctor's just like, I've grown to become like you. I know that my time is going to end, but that's okay, that's fine. And if I was you, don't worry about the ultimate end. I mean, he is me, but he is him. But from the 4th to the 10th, it's just like, don't worry about your experiences going to die. Just have fun along the way. Just enjoy yourself. This can kind of tie into the Doctor's much more eccentric persona at the start of the End of Time, where he's just anti-care. He's just very reckless in that kind of sense. He's like a drunk driver in a sense. And so that does kind of play in. But the final piece of dialogue. Oh, the final piece of dialogue. The 10th Doctor talks to the 4th Doctor about like where he is in his timeline. The 4th Doctor retells that because they're talking about companions and how in the 10th Doctor's point of view, he's now stopped travelling with companions. He's stopping people from travelling with him. He wants to be alone, which kind of triggers the 4th Doctor into saying, like, just have fun, enjoy it as you can. And he brings up that he recently has also left his companion. And they mention Sarah Jane Smith, with the 4th Doctor's like, oh, she is amazing. The 10th Doctor, she still is. I went to her wedding. Well, I kind of gatecrashed to stop a paranormal entity, but it's all the same. Not only do they bring up Sarah Jane, which is just a lovely tribute to the Elizabeth Sladen, who strangely didn't get a lot of tributes in the actual series. Nicholas Courtney got a loads, but Elizabeth Sladen seemed to hardly got a mention, which is really bizarre. But with two Doctors who have had interactions with Sarah Jane, oh, benissimo, fantastic. And the fact that a Big Finish audio drama mentions a Sarah Jane adventure episode, that is icing on the cake. With the 4th Doctor basically stating that maybe if the people that we befriend go and fight and save people's lives and become better people, then maybe that's what it's worth for. It's not about the monsters, it's not about us stopping the bad guys, but it's about saving the good guys. Or to put it in another way, it's about the friends we make along the way. And so the Doctors part ways and have, part ways. And that is Out of Time. Holy hell, was that awesome. To feature two icons of Doctor Who. To feature such iconic scenes like that final moment. And the 4th Doctor realising who the 10th Doctor is. And all of these just little character beats. I just could not talk about everything I wanted to talk about. I mainly stick to what the Doctors were, because that's like the main point of the story. But I didn't talk about much what the Daleks did, and what the side characters and who they are. But overall abroad, it is a 10 out of 10. By far. A lot of great fun. A lot of just... And yeah, I do agree that this is actually a really great kicking off point if you want to get into Big Finish audio dramas. If you are interested in continuing on from the 10th Doctor era, and you're interested in Big Finish, or you're interested in Big Finish, this is actually a great place to start. And I don't think I can give it much praise other than that. It is gold. If this came out in a golden vinyl, I would buy it. Hands down, easy peasy. So there you go, that is Out of Time. So join me next time where Sarah Jane, Luke, Clive and Ronnie go to the National Gallery. No, it's not the National Gallery, what am I on about? I think it actually might be the National Gallery. And a famous painting comes to life. So join me next time for Mona Lisa's Revenge. And I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-da!